want to put it. Mike Opelka is joining us this morning to help to kind of break it on down, as the kids like to say.
Yeah, I'm your
I don't know,
political
something like
pundit pal. You got to go with the
that.
alliteration, the PPP,
Right.
political pundit pal. That's me.
Is that what PPP is? Political pundit pal? I never knew that. I always thought it was something else.
Well, now that COVID's done, yeah, the PPP
Yeah,
was like protection. I don't know what that was, but anyway,
I
uh,
know. That's so
what a
2020.
long debate that was last night. That's the one thing that felt long and painful. But you're right about the moderators. They certainly had their thumb on the scale throughout the entire
Yeah.
thing, fact checking Trump, but not fact checking Kamala. And I wrote, and I have several pages of handwritten notes. I went old school last night. Um,
That's okay.
I
I
hope
have
this.
I have several liters of coffee. So you have you've got the paper. I have the coffee.
Well, the one thing I wrote was no one's mind is being changed tonight. Literally, I don't think, well, one person's mind was changed last night, and that was Taylor Swift, who announced her endorsement right after the debate ended. What a shock. What a surprise. Taylor Swift suddenly decides she's going to endorse Kamala Harris. So I don't think
Right.
it did move the needle much at all. So no shock, but will we get another debate between these two? Do you think? And would either side
No.
want it?
Well, she from what I'm hearing this morning, she's waking up all feisty and ready to go. Like, let's do this once again. Let's make this happen. I mean, we practiced this out to, and so she's feeling pretty good today. I think we're done. I think we don't have to have this anymore. And even some of the audio that we're going to play this morning, that will catch everybody up. See, we stay up late so you don't have to, and we'll have a lot of audio this morning on this. Now, here's the ABC. Was it? I think Fox put together this montage. I don't know if you heard this montage. Fox put together this montage of the moderators last night and how many times they fact check in real time Donald Trump.
Yes.
Yes, they did. All right, here, check this out.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports. The Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin?
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
So that's just a few of the times when the moderators decided to interject and fact check in real time. Well, Mike, you knew this was going to happen. You knew they were going to do this.
Well, David Muir and I forgot Lindsay, what's her name, the lady who was the
That's good enough for me. Lindsay, what's her name? I think it says it right on the chyron, right at the bottom. Lindsay, what's her name?
That's it. They're notoriously anti anyone other than a Democrat. So there you have it. And we knew that was going to be the case. I counted 5-1 fact checks on Trump versus fact checks on Kamala. That was my personal tabulation. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think anybody was changed. What was more interesting to me, and this is why I look so exhausted, was the spin room on CNN. And I stayed up very late last night watching the spin room. Donald Trump walked in the spin room and he confronted Caitlin Collins. Tulsi Gabbard was an absolute rock star in the spin room. J.D. Vance was an absolute superhero against Caitlin Collins in the spin room. So it was kind of interesting to me that the after game was more important, I think, than the actual debate itself, because it was devoid of the thumb on the scale by the moderators.
Yeah, and I think that when I opened up the show and I was talking about the CNN numbers, some of the polls, some of what Frank Luntz and others were seeing, and who won the debate, and then the question becomes, what did she win? Like, nobody can answer that question. So the numbers for Trump go up on the economy. I think 2 points on the CNN poll, if I'm not mistaken, that his numbers went up because they see exactly what it is and they know and live through exactly what it is that he wants to do. She could spin any way that she wants, but I'm trying to figure that out. That's probably the big question of the day. If she won the debate, what did she win? So she won the debate beauty kind of contest thing, the hey, I'm only engaged for a half a second and she sounded fine to me, so that's good enough. Like, what did she win?
Well, at stake in all of this really is that chunk of independent voters, especially in swing states, and those people who call themselves undecided. But how can you be undecided at this point, 54 and a half days before an election? And if you're a undecided swing state voter, you are probably a single issue voter. And that single issue, because there's only one issue that's in debate here. The economy isn't in debate. National security is not in debate. The border is not in debate. It's abortion. And if she wins the abortion debate, there's a really good chance she's got a shot to win this election. So there's going to be a significant push, I hope, from the Trump campaign to do a little more clarity work on this, to reach out and say, do you really want to vote just on that one issue? And if you're really curious, if you're really against the government telling you what you can do with your body, remember COVID.
Yeah, my body, my choice, except when it comes to vaccines and and the like. Our good friend Mike Opelka is joining us this morning on Florida's Voice. He is a political pundit, good friend, sometimes fill-in host, as he's helped me out in many times in the past, nationwide, if I might say so myself, and I just did. And you can go to pureopelka.com. It's a great website if you want to check out stories of the day. You know, you bring up the abortion issue and the one thing that everyone is leaning on. Sometimes I get worried because, you know, in our excitement, and listen, coming up, everybody, we are going to play a lot of clips. You're going to hear a lot of clips this morning from the debate. We're going to get to those on the way, including the opening act, which was like, what the color is the sky, Kamala Harris? Thursday. What? No, I didn't even ask. What are you talking about? What? Okay. Anyway, it's just the opening was fun. But the abortion issue, I think when you look at the state of Florida, and you know as well as I do what's happening here with Amendment 4, a constitutional amendment, as vague as the language could possibly be. And yesterday was one of those moments. And maybe I'll even play some of the audio now while I have you here, and you can talk about it as I'm setting this up. But, you know, the idea that you're not seeing things happening in other states when it comes to abortion, what they're doing, what Governor Northam at the time did in Virginia and what he said, as opposed to what everybody is trying to make it sound like you're taking it out of context, or he never said that, or that's not true, or it would never happen here. I mean, when you have a constitutional amendment here in the state of Florida that talks about viability, but never tells you the number, never gives you the time period, never tells you specifically when it comes to viability, healthcare providers who can provide abortions, and they don't tell you who that is. They don't say physicians. It could be a chiropractor. It could be anybody. When you have something like that happening here in the state, to your point, be careful, because that is the one issue that they can lean into and lean on and possibly change things, if not just here in the state, across the U.S. Maybe your thoughts on that.
Well, the interesting thing, and you bring it up here, is the lack of consistency or understanding of what every single state is doing. Every state has a different interpretation. And that's what that beautiful 10th Amendment is all about, is allowing the people of each state to choose the destiny or the laws of their state, their elected officials, et cetera. So Florida's law will differ from Kansas, will differ from Missouri, will differ from Minnesota, all of that. And there is no consistency in what those laws are by design. But the left is going to seize upon that. And if an abortion protection bill, no matter what the specificity or lack thereof passes, the left will seize on that and say, see, the people want this. That's why it has to be a national issue. And they just don't understand it, but they understand the emotion. And in the emotion is power. And I think the GOP needs to get its arms around that fact.
Am I missing something when during the debate, before we get to the one clip that we have, you know, abortion after birth, and that was brought up, and Kamala Harris wouldn't answer the question? Seems like a very leftist thing to do, or a Democrat thing to do. But when she screams at him about, you know, a federal ban on abortion, but yet they want federally to have abortion at any time. I mean, is there like a hypocrisy there that I'm missing that maybe people aren't talking about? Right.
Well, we're calling it hypocrisy, the hypocritical irony of the left. because
Right.
it's ironic that they create the situation and then they're completely against having any specificity or answering a question themselves. The interesting thing, and Trump wouldn't answer a question, a solid question either, because I think he was mindful of the fact that if he did say, of course I will pledge not to sign a national abortion ban or whatever he's saying, they kept pushing it. Caitlin Collins chased him down in the spin room to say, but you won't say yes or no. You won't say yes or no. And she tried to hypnotize him with her eyebrows, which I think I got hypnotized by them last night. I'm not
They
sure.
are lovely, aren't they? I don't know what
They
she does to them
scared me.
specifically.
They're frozen in place. She went to Nancy Pelosi's Botox guy and got him injected. She doesn't need to. She's a beautiful woman. Stop with the eyebrows. But
Right.
the issue here is they're going to play in the emotion because there is no real specificity, even in the Florida bill. But every state is so different. It's just the word, and people are going to vote on the word.
Yeah. So just in case you didn't hear this portion of the discussion yesterday when Trump was talking about what everybody knows with video and audio evidence.
Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question? Would you
because
veto?
under Roe v. Wade,
Answer the question, would you veto?
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia.
Okay, the former governor of Virginia, who said,
I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So
there you have it. Horrific.
It's
horrific.
That's one of the more absolutely insane clips ever. The infant would be resuscitated so we could discuss whether or not we're going to kill it. That is one of the most grisly, gruesome, awful things ever. And, you know,
Yeah.
ABC News is not going to run that. CNN's not going to run that Ralph Northam clip. They're just not going to do it. But they should.
We do. I do. You
Thank
would.
God. Yeah,
There's
yes, I
no
would.
doubt. So Mike Opelka is joining us. He's a political pundit. He's a popular fill-in host across the country. He's my buddy for the longest time. We do everything.
Please.
We do everything. What's that?
Please get the title right. America's talk radio guest host. I'm the Cato Kalin of talk radio. I'm in every radio station's pool house.
It's true, you are. Wow, what an obscure reference, the
Yes.
Cato Kalin reference. That is, oh man, if you want to go down that road of things that are too etched in our memory to the point where it's like I just want to get in there in my brain and just scrape it out off the walls. Like, can this thing go away? It can't. I don't even know, but that's a whole other story.
Can I ask a strange question? I know that's unusual for me to ask you a strange question.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Go ahead.
Are you wearing a Taylor Swift friendship bracelet? Is that what that is?
This is not a Taylor Swift friendship bracelet.
Okay, thank God. After she
not
endorsed Kamala last night, I thought, oh no, and Taylor Swift certainly outnumbers Gretchen Wilson, who endorsed Donald Trump over the weekend in a beautiful endorsement by Gretchen Wilson. But that was a surprise. Taylor Swift was not a surprise. We fully expected the Taylor Swift endorsement, and it happened after the debate.
Yeah, and not to be confused with Gretchen Whitmer, who doesn't live too far away from the state that apparently eats dogs and cats and geese and that whole thing.
Can we talk about that moment last night too? Because they are really making hay out of that. Last night, the left is totally jumping on the fact that both Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have been bringing up this claim, this statement, this belief that that dogs are being eaten, cats are being eaten, geese and ducks are being eaten by the Haitians who have been transported into the sleepy little town of Springfield, Ohio. And it's kind of nerve-wracking. It's kind of concerning. And, we have people who are saying anecdotally it's happening, and we have the police saying, well, we don't have any reports. I tend to lean on the people on this one, and I think they've got it right.
Right. Yeah, I tend to think that if you are, and by the way, the great Julie Kelly, a friend of ours, Julie Kelly, who does amazing work there at American Greatness and on X, if you follow her account, she had pulled up something on her X account about the fact that, yeah, if you look into the mayor of the city of Springfield, who not too long ago was somebody who was making comments about the problems of the 20,000 plus Haitian migrants that were flown into his city and what has happened in the town and how they're overwhelmed. There's some other things about his history and some things that you might say are very Democrat and woke. Apparently, the dude is pretty woke. And so I'm just wondering if a mayor who happens to be woke and maybe some people in the city council who, or even in some departments that might also be a little woke, maybe don't really want to project and let you know. And maybe the mayor says to them, hey, we don't want to give you all the information on exactly what's happening because we feel like we are inclusive and we want to make sure that that people understand that we're not, I don't know, fill in any istanobia that you want to fill in because we don't want people to think we're racist and we don't want people to think that we're whatever it is. But certainly she brought that up. People that brought that up. It was, by the way, the clip yesterday of Trump who was saying
in Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame.
It's a shame. And listen, in 2024, it's believable. If this was 20 years ago, people would be like, what are you talking about? This sounds crazy. It's so 2024 that this would be happening. And Kamala Harris and look, and there are going to be plenty of other people, Mike, and you can speak to this, that, to your point, and other people have said, well, the departments there and the mayor, they said there's no evidence. We can't really confirm that this is happening. I mean, there's nothing concrete. It's just people talking and those people are probably filling the istanobia and all of these things that happen. But, when you bring this up, on the surface, it just sounds so crazy, so ridiculous. And I think that the laughter there, the one cackle moment that she had, because she controlled the cackle pretty well yesterday.
Pretty well, yeah.
Right. But the cackle moment right there and the laughter was about how ridiculous it sounds. And on the surface, there's probably plenty of people that hear that and think, well, come on, this is ridiculous. How could you even say something like that? So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, there's so many things that are related to the Haitian problem in Springfield, Ohio. The dogs, cats, ducks, geese thing, if true, is truly insane and horrific. But there are real realities we know that have been served to this community when you dump 20 to 30,000 people into a town of 60,000, and there is no cultural crossover between them. Language, everything, education, medical history, all of that stuff is out there. But now you're seeing anecdotal reports again, because this is just evolving, of massive numbers of auto wrecks. I watched a guy talk about his car insurance going up by 50%. And it's just because of all the accidents from the either unlicensed or just uneducated, unskilled drivers who are there. Now, here's where the economy gets into this, and we need to dive into this deeper. Dole has a plant there, Dole pineapple people, Dole Foods, and those jobs are being filled by these Haitian immigrants who are then bringing in, again, anecdotal reports, other family members and friends. So is this like another Somalia cultural situation in Minnesota that we see in Ilhan Omar's district, the 5th district of Minnesota? Are we going to see a Haitian district that will soon elect a Haitian-born representative? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it sure feels like this is an engineered deconstruction of a town and maybe even a congressional district going forward. I'm projecting this out very far.
Yeah. And listen, even if you wanted to just take the 30,000-foot view and not focus on dogs and cats and Dole pineapples or anything else, how about the fact that you have 20,000 people that were flown into this area of the country temporary protective status. And who did this? It was Biden and Kamala Harris who did this. And what are the other stories across the country that we see? And the endless amount of people that are coming across the border each and every day, and it hasn't stopped for 3.5+ years. It's still going on right now, and something's got to be done immediately. Okay. All right, we're getting ready to wrap up with Mike Opelka, but before we do, just quickly, I can't let you go because obviously we know what today is, 9/11, and 23 years later, and obviously we both have our own connections. We've got about, I don't know, in a minute and a half. Obviously, you know more than most about that day. Maybe in a minute you can reflect on where you were that day.
I was 1.1 miles away from the Twin Towers, broadcasting on a New York City morning show, Wacky Morning Zoo, on September 11th. And when we heard that there was an accident, a plane had hit one of the World Trade Center towers, and then 15 minutes later, a second plane had hit. And we knew in an instant, at that moment, second plane, it was terrorism. What we didn't know was that those towers would come down and the Pentagon would be hit and America would be forever changed. I know I was. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget the Benghazi incident, but 11 years later as well. So never forget.
Yeah, all right. We got to jump. Never forget. All right, Mike Opelka.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.